In addition to wow. I'm just waiting on sorry. You're good. Since there's like a 40-second delay, if you could something over there. Testing 1 2, coming live from San Francisco at the HealthTech Week, presented by AIify. And then testing 1 2 3, coming live in San Francisco. Hey, speaking of the devil, here we go. Let's do it. All right. In fact, we're live right now. Yeah. What's that? Do you want to hop on? Sure, let's do it. We're still doing making sure everything's kind of like correctly. Both of them? So this is for you. Okay. I'm gonna have them hold this, and then I'll just hold this. Or actually, we have a second one, don't we? Flip it on. Oh, yeah, it's way better. Thank you. Awesome. Great. Okay, so maybe should we move the back a little bit? So, okay. Cool. Can you take off your headphones? I think the channels all the way. Make sure that this is nice and close when you guys are sharing it back and forth. So let's get things kicked off. Dr. Uli, you've got some really cool stuff. You're at the intersection of medicine and technology, an AI guru. What are you seeing in the space right now?
Well, there is a lot of excitement around AI. As you've seen throughout this week, there's a lot of AI companies coming in. But the exciting thing is how that's going to change individuals' health. And that's the beauty of it, is that you don't need a lot of organizations or insurance companies or hospitals. You can do it yourself. I mean, there's a lot of companies that are promoting hacking health, building your own health support system through AI, and that's most fascinating to me.
It almost feels like the bureaucratic bloat, but not instead of the government, it's in the health tech complex, something of that line, right?
Well, the big question is, are you going to play within the healthcare system or are you going to play outside the healthcare system? So if you're playing outside and you want to be a disruptor, yes, there's a lot of blue ocean space out there that you can create tools and technologies that can help keep you healthy.
It almost, and Digvijay, this one's for you. It almost feels like because the health tech ecosystem is kind of sclerotic and there's so many moving parts and there's such a momentum forward, it's like, do you take one piece out and try to fix it, or do you try to build it from scratch from the bottom up? You've got a hyper technical background as a principal engineer in this space. How are you looking at the health tech space?
I think that focus always helps. I think that focus always helps.
Yeah.
It's to me, I've always, whenever I build products, I've tried to hyper focus my teams towards a delivery goal. And then you can, like, it's an ant building an ant hill. And then you build a small piece and a small piece. And over a period of time, you have you've solved a really complicated problem. So in isolation, when you solve one single piece, it's not complicated. But when you look at the entire machine, it's complicated from the outside in. Like that. So that's my thesis. That's how I run my teams.
I like that a lot. It's like taking a win and taking that momentum and then doing the next thing.
Yeah, and I want to talk to the first question too. I think the AI is going to be key in reducing the unit economic cost. I think that's where if you can find industries where your cost of unit economics was previously high, and now because of AI, that cost of unit economics comes down. You can democratize a lot of things that were not available to the masses, and now bring them to their door.
Good. So you've been doing a lot of work in research and development and innovation and leveraging this new agentic framework.
Yeah.
So how are you seeing the unit economics are getting maybe squished in the software space?
I can tell you from personal experience that previously most of my experiences in startups. I've been doing this 13 years now. So we are low on resources. Startups don't have money, and we have to do big things with little. And previously, the technologies that were out of reach because we couldn't recruit people because we knew that this is the right tech to do something, but we couldn't deploy those products because the deployment time would be so high, and then we wouldn't have the skill to understand those products. And now we use these out-of-the-box AIs to do the initial research, and then we are able to deploy these products and increase, again, coming back to product velocity.
Yeah.
And once then you've taken the same engineer and 10x'd it.
Maybe those constraints are a good thing, though. And if you, for example, if you've got tens of millions of dollars and backing and customers, maybe it doesn't force, you can kind of cruise a little bit, as opposed to, well, we got to solve this problem and we have limited resources, so we better roll up our sleeves and get to work. Are you finding something similar, Dr. Moon?
Yes. In fact, I use that in my clinical practice. Let's say, for example, there's a complicated patients, right? There's a lot of tests that have been done. There's a lot of symptoms. There's a lot of complexity. Or if it's a rare thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
I use, ChatGPT to do the research and give me some clues on, okay, these are the 3 things I need to look for in this patient. And so it is very hands-on and it's very useful, in a one-on-one interaction. But imagine if you can build a product that can do that at scale.
Yeah.
And that is the potential, where we will have tools where, a physician is working from his or her own knowledge, his or her own experience, maybe saw 1,000 patients, similar patients, right? But what if you can gain knowledge from 1 million patients using these tools? And that can really increase the accuracy of what you're doing, whether it is diagnostics, whether it is therapeutics, or whether it is just maintenance of a disease problem that's a chronic disease. So that's the potential I see.
Was this part of the talk that you just gave at the HealthTech Summit here?
So the other cool thing that's happening in technology is that where several types of technologies are coming together. So the talk I did was about Sirica Therapeutics. It's a startup where we are building a therapeutic tool using virtual reality, robotics, and video gaming. So imagine combining these three technologies into one product or a service. So what it does is it creates a space in the brain that stimulates neuroplasticity. So this can be used in many conditions, but we are focused on autism because I have a personal connection to autism. I have a daughter with autism, and that's why I'm focusing on this. And that's what we are building, because now there is an opportunity to put all these technologies together to come up with a product or a service.
So it's like this intersection is where we get these kind of quantum leaps in understanding.
Exactly. That was not possible before.
Yeah. David J, have you seen a kind of similar scenario where great leaps in innovation where two unlikely things meet? How are you thinking about innovation in general in the space as a technology and management leader?
I'll come back to that even though the two organizations that I support right now, we don't directly use AI, general purpose AI, in any of our implementations. But most of our models are proprietary, they're data driven, and it's pure core ML, before AI came in. But we're building these models, we're building the ML and the distribution logic, all of it from AI. So we're using AI to help us jumpstart innovation in areas. So even though AI is not shipped directly to the clients, but we use AI models to actually help us innovate faster.
And this is specifically around diagnostics?
Diagnostics, and another company that I work for is Ether Biomachines, where we're changing the way you extract rare metals from ore using proteins instead of chemical synthesis. So
and I feel like there might be a connection between rare metals and autism. Is this true? Or?
Don't know. Nobody knows. That is something to be evaluated.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I'm taking a slight digression. A lot of people worry that AI is going to take away jobs. I don't believe that at all, actually. I feel like there are so many problems to solve on planet Earth right now and beyond that we're gonna be able to do more with what we have. That we'll have. So I believe that in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll be solving different kinds of problems and doing different kinds of innovations. The problems that we were stuck on today, that a lot of it gets unstuck. And now we'll be solving more complicated problems.
Just to play devil's advocate, because it's more fun that way.
Yeah.
I agree with you. The kinds of problems will change. However, I do think we find ourselves in a very unique time in human history where all of the work, we'll say the knowledge work that a human could be doing in the next 3 to 4 plus years, AI will be able to do just as good, if not better. And once that's integrated into robotics to handle kind of like this deep tech approach of the dirty, the dull, the dangerous, then it's gonna kind of, I think that the problem that presents itself there is like, what do humans do? What is the value that we provide?
I do have.
Maybe it'll increase the consciousness that we operate. I don't know.
I believe that as human beings, we are flawed. And we have our shortcomings, and we have our nuanced experiences. And AI is a different kind of intelligence. It's not like we are intelligent. It's more a token-based intelligence, at least for now.
Yeah.
And I don't believe it's a replacement, because what we experience, all the problems that we solve today, come from our experience. I am what I am for the experience that I've had, right? And the genetics and all of that. But AI evolves very differently in a lab or robotics. So the nuances that we experience and the nuances that we are solving, only we will know. And AI can become a supporting mechanism in that. I don't think AI can replace us because it's alien to what we are.
And technically, it's all statistical, it's all stochastic, and I don't know if at some point we're going to be able to shift into more of a cognitive AI foundation, but it's
It's still not be flawed. Like it won't feel pain if it's scratched.
yeah.
So unless it enslaves us, and then like we go all Terminator.
Yeah.
We don't matter anymore. Then all bets are off.
Yeah, exactly.
But as long as AI is built to serve and solve human problems, we're gonna be fine.
You did mention genetics, which is interesting to me because it translates genes,
Yes.
information on biological information in the body, in much the same way that mimetics shares ideas or concepts, which interestingly enough is how the word meme came about. I don't know if you guys knew that, but so maybe what kind of unique ideas or concepts are you seeing, Dr. Uli, in the amazing startups that you get to work with in the health tech space?
Yes. So, we've relied on, testing, right? When we talk about blood tests or when we talk about, a scan or something like that. But there's a lot of information that is already stored in those tests that humans cannot understand. For example, I'll give you a simple example of an EKG. EKG takes heart reading, right? So humans will see, okay, how fast is the heart going? Or, what is the different sizes of the waves? And they can say, okay, you're having a heart attack, or no, you're not. Oh, there is an irregularity of the heart. Whereas if you put AI into it, it can predict when you're going to have a heart attack, when you're going to have heart failure, what are the mechanisms in your, let's say, in your metabolism, what is your potassium level? It can predict just by looking at heart tracing. And so that is the kind of intelligence that we'll gain, which will predict a lot of the diseases that we don't have yet and be able to prevent them.
How accurate are these predictions?
Oh, they're getting very accurate. They're getting very close.
Yeah.
Because what we have now is very rudimentary, the human intelligence, because we can only look at, your experience as a doctor. Maybe you've seen 1,000 patients like this. But, what if you had 1 million patients, or 10 million or 100 million, then your intelligence really is enhanced with these kinds of technologies.
Yeah, and maybe in conjunction, you can have these models that you're working in collaboration with that are all have the intelligence of like a Nobel laureate or like a rock star PhD, but not just one or two of them, like 10,000 of them, and then they're all like working in conjunction, right?
But I get what Digvijay is talking about. Human intelligence is in a different plane. It's a different track. Machine intelligence, for example, coming up with ideas, coming up with innovations. I think there's a very human side of it. Although you can look at data and say, oh, if you do this, then this will happen, and then this you can do. But the human intelligence and there is something more to, I don't know what you call that in technology language, but there's something more to human intelligence than just numbers and predictions.
Yeah, it's like creativity. It's difficult to bake that into to the process.
Yeah.
So, what you were saying, I'll extend on that. taking a diagnostics process to 1 million patients couldn't be done. The unit economics was just not there. You couldn't hire that many radiologists or report like doctors. You couldn't train them and even ever solve this problem. The fact that we are this is a problem that has come to the fore because of AI. AI is not replacing anything to solve this problem. This was an unsolvable problem. That's point one. Second is, if you look at, I drove here in a Tesla and it drives itself, right? Like I'm told from the time I bought my Tesla, I do not drive anymore. I just like
Let it go.
I don't want to do.
The FSD is pretty insane.
Yes, but the thing is, Tesla, the robot or the AI inside it, has no need to travel. The human being, so it's a human problem that we're solving. AI will not solve that problem. AI won't even matter because cloud doesn't have to travel anywhere. It can instantly be anywhere, any place. It's a human need to travel.
But you can reward it if it's achieving certain utility, right? Isn't that kind of how tokenization works?
Yes, it does. But the thing is that if AI, so the dystopian view is that AI takes over everything. What does that mean to take over everything? They're everything. Even if it does evolve to that point, their needs of everything are going to be very different.
Yeah.
Like an AI can have a robot here, robot body here, and a robot body in like, I don't know, like in Singapore, and then instantly shut this off and go there. So there's no need for AI. So the problem, even if AI took over, the problem that AI would be solving would be enormously different. These problems that we solve, only we can know.
I love how you're really getting hyper specific with our words, because like anytime we have a conversation, we have a debate, if you're not being hyper specific on the actual the words and the meanings, then we could be kind of operating, like you said, on different planes. So that's beautifully put. I think part of the concern could be if machines deem that we are a threat to, I guess if humanity is a threat to planet Earth, maybe it's a prioritization kind of a thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I said. If AI takes over, AI runs for presidency, and then gets it, then all bets are off.
Would you guys vote for an AI politician?
I don't know. What do you think? I have to think about it.
Like what if it was a distributed model where everybody got to vote, and then we didn't need this layer in the middle that just feels like that's where a lot of the perversion and like the human error comes into play.
Oh, the model ran the country?
Yeah.
And the model was like purely democratized?
Yeah. Can we just start a company?
Are we running for president?
Well, either way, it's going to be remarkable to see how things unfold moving forward.
They're trying in Estonia? Isn't that what they're trying in Estonia?
I don't know too much about that. Can you fill us in here?
I don't know. I think they're trying to digitize everything, democratize everything, and all that. But
El Salvador has had some success, but that's more around payments and crypto.
Yeah, they bought a ton of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I think they made Bitcoin the reserve currency or something.
Yeah.
And that was like before, like Bitcoin was cheaper. And they bought it, and it's even more expensive.
There's somebody still.
So here's the other thing: is that putting some of the things we could never put together to diagnose things. For example, when you talk with somebody, you know that they're feeling sad. But how do you quantify that? How do you know if that is the correct diagnosis? Just by talking to them?
Actually, it's so fascinating you mentioned that. We met somebody earlier this morning. Did you meet these guys too?
Exactly. So that would not have been possible before AI, right? Now AI can listen to your voice and figure out that, hey, you're depressed today or whatever. So as we build these systems, for example, looking at a picture and telling your blood pressure, right? Looking at a video and saying that, oh, your heart rate is so much. I mean, that is amazing. So all the basic things that we worry about or concerned about, oh, it's a nurse checking your blood pressure. You don't need to anymore. And so all the simple things are already done and they're given on a platter for you to figure out what the solution should be.
Yeah.
So that is an amazing thing for physicians, I feel.
It's a delicious platter, a silver platter with brains and all sorts of good stuff. Well, guys, I'm grateful for both of you. Let's take a quick moment to maybe plug a website or share how folks can, who are tuning in, could get in touch with you.
Sure. My startup is SiricaTX.com, SIRITX.com. And I am Yuli Cherepali, and I'm on LinkedIn. So please connect with me if you want to know more about what I do.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr.
My name again is Digvijay Singh, and I work as an advisor for VC Natural Capital, and you can find me on LinkedIn. My name, and I'd be happy to help in any way. I'm a bug of the ecosystem, and I love being here.
Cool.
Thank you very much, Nick. This is a pleasure.
Hey, much appreciated, guys. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Okay. Cheers.
Right.
To build a predictor, somebody has depression?
No, we can't say that. It's more like focused on that's off the alcohol, mood health, alcohol based on the indication of dementia.
Really? Have you met these guys?
I have therapeutics.
Yes.
We're visual health.
Right, but I feel like, if you predicted
to ask you a question.
I can
Oh, you can.
give it then to you.
Okay, sure.
Oh, you're gonna. I can hold it.
Can you give us the 3, 2,
He
1?
has one.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2.
Welcome everybody to Silicon Zombies, where you get the best brains from the Bay to beyond. We're here live in San Francisco at this SF HealthTech Summit, presented by AIify. We got Renata, we got Alex. So excited to have you both here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Awesome to be here.
So Alex,
Thank
you just rocked it up on stage. You're helping people understand what's going on physiologically in their bodies, but also how to leverage technology just so we can live longer, happier, healthier. Tell us a little bit more about that.
What I wanted to show today was my history, how I came into health and wellness. Then how I started with this technology, because I wanted to understand my body better. And then have a look what we can do with AI. And we came up with this multi-agent model, because you need different AIs which are the specialized advisors who build this advisory board for you to know what they do with your data and give the best output. We learned that it's really good if you have a coach or a clinician who approves that. Like we heard today in other talks, the AI alone is not ready to do that.
So you had a pretty interesting journey of how you got here too, a near-death experience, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, dengue fever, and stacked it with COVID. And so severe dengue. And luckily my wife works at Stanford. She's a nutrition specialist also. And yeah, she saved my ass.
So that means you have to do the dishes like forever now, basically.
Not only the dishes.
And Renato, welcome. So excited to have you here.
Yeah, thank you.
You're a founder. You're building great stuff in the space. Maybe share a little bit with the audience on what you're rocking and roll with.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm building a platform that actually aligns very well with what you're creating, changing how healthcare and public health is managed through food. And we're basically connecting chefs with families and people to cook food at their home that's tailored to needs, starting from $125 a visit plus groceries, and they get food for the whole week. And we actually signed a contract, our first contract with a health plan, Anthem, and they're going to be paying that for qualifying Medi-Cal patients. We hope to start to launch it this month, actually.
So,
and obviously AI is a big part of it.
So bravo, like the first contract as a founder, like that's a huge milestone.
It took a very long time, but it's the first time I'm actually sharing it live in public.
Okay.
So you guys,
Thank you. This is great. We got a fresh release here. I feel like there's a trend where nutrition is increasingly, like we know it's important. In Japan, they've got an administrator who has to go 3 years after college at every single school to plan the kids' food and make sure they're eating healthy. So now it sounds like we're kind of getting into this space.
In the US, the school gets Lunchables, which is luckily, hopefully we'll see a change in along the line you were mentioning. I really hope so. That's our future. So
I remember really loving those Lunchables when I was a kid.
I didn't hear that.
I know that's super healthy.
I'm the food mom. Yeah,
I think I liked it because you got to like make it yourself, kind of thing. It was like part of the experience. So, but yeah, nutrition, of course, super important. And Alex, are you doing the same as far as helping folks use technology to understand the importance of and also how to apply nutrition or better sleep or better exercise? How are you thinking about this as you build your company?
The thing with nutrition and what to eat, you can tell the people what they should eat, but to find exactly someone who executes this. I lived in the Bay Area long enough. In the Bay Area, you can order food, you can buy somewhere food, but still also these packages, monthly packages for food. Now we are in Las Vegas. There is one service. They do it on a low level, not well executed. That's why something We have to talk
We have to talk.
because it's such a good addition.
Yeah, if you met Meg here, live.
Yeah.
Yes, especially also we take over a GLP-1 clinic. Getting more peptides and biohacking. And I think this is something missing. Not only
Future, that's the gap. And the future to close the gap.
for everyone.
It's basically the future to help us live forever.
Yeah.
That's unlocking longevity and
Food and sleep.
exercise.
And exercise, yes.
Community, good and
yeah.
friendships.
I know,
Those are
yeah.
basically holistic, lifestyle approach.
Have either one of you heard of a gentleman named Chip Conley? Yeah, you guys spoke about Chip. He was on the show about a year ago, and he said that the quality of our social relationships was the biggest indicator of longevity. Like instinctively, we know that nutrition is important for our bodies because it's like that's literally what we become. But also, like having fun with our friends is like just as much, if not more important. That was kind of a surprise to me, in fact.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And longevity, there are a bunch of things there. You also need, of course, to work on your body, on stretching and balance to make sure you're not falling and everything. But the friendships and the relationships and the community create a big difference. And having a chef come to your home and cook for you enables this human touch. Even in the world where AI, will eventually, be more available and there will be robots available. Actually, that's one of the topics I'm going to be talking about today. AI and the future of nutrition, cooking and eating.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm going to be touching on that.
What a time to be alive. So are you kind of more focused on the B2B space, or is it more of a consumer play right now?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. So we started from the completely consumer space during the pandemic. Obviously, we couldn't help people that have medical conditions. And then I met the former CEO of UC Davis Health, David Lubarsky, Dr. David Lubarsky, and he pointed out that actually what we're doing is very helpful in the health space, especially the transition from managing sickness to preventative care, and even going even further than that, regenerative health. So the healthcare is going through transitions. So that made me look into health and B2B channels. It took a year, and here we are, signed the first contract. So we have both today. Our marketing and sales efforts are towards the B2B. The consumer is there. We are getting the consumers through referrals from functional medicine clinics, and just of course, if you Google, we have great SEO. So if you Google, you will find us, and organically, basically on the consumer side.
Yeah, it's always interesting, and you probably are cognizant of this dynamic as a founder. It's like, do we go whale hunting and get these huge monster corporate contracts, or do we focus on building a model that's more repeatable, right? Because you don't want to spend too many revolutions, because if we only have 24 hours in the day, 168 hours in the week, but also if we can get even just like one or two of those, it can drive the revenue to be able to expand and try new things.
Yeah, startups have to be very focused on I think what I learned is, for us, it's best to be hyper-focused on specific areas and markets and targets. And what I noticed that with regular consumers, it's a vitamin. It's nice to have. If a chef comes, not come, okay, never mind, I'll just DoorDash. But people that are health conscious for different reasons, either they're going through chemotherapy, or they have diabetes or prediabetes, or they have certain health conditions, it's a painkiller for them.
Yeah.
So we decided to focus on an area where we're more a painkiller, and then focus on partners that will help us get there, with innovative partners first. And don't get me wrong, I did reach out to Kaiser. It is the whale. And they suggested to continue talking. So we're not like, it's okay, we'll get there. But there are innovative health plans like Anthem that want to do something different. They open the door, and they are big. And there are also health systems that are interested to referring patients to us. So we're building now this whole ecosystem, and we'll get more. But first of all, let's kick it off, see that it's working well. There are a lot of nuts and bolts, moving parts there to make it work.
I could see that also providing social credibility, might be able to use these logos, which can help as well. Alex, how are you thinking about this as a founder? Are you Are you focused more on the B2B space or more the consumer space? Are you taking a kind of like a scientific approach at trying some different things to see what sticks?
We had a look first in the B2C space. It's really difficult when you work with AI for the B2C space. You need the compliancy, you need the approval. If you work together with clinicians or if you work together with coaches, it's so much easier to adapt because you give not the final recommendation to the patient.
So it's a liability thing.
Yes, you give the recommendation to the specialist and make it easy as possible to approve. For example, if you have a look, a clinician has 15 minutes for a patient normally. 50% of the clinicians have burnout.
Yeah.
50%. CDC, if you go to have a look, 50% burnout. They cannot do their job properly. And so now you have 20 patients, you have 15 minutes for them. And so now you have to take the time, you have to prepare, you have to have a look what they did over the last weeks too. And now you have to write at the end of this meeting what they need, why you have to put the recipes in place. You have to, it's crazy. And this in 15 minutes. That's why you need a recommendation machine.
Wow.
You need to know what happened. And if you have this connected to variables, the variables will tell you upfront what's happening. They give you alerts if something is going sideways. They give you a summary from all the things which happened over the last 2 weeks. So you come into a meeting and you know already what happened, why, and the execution is perfect. Because also the knowledge from coaches, clinicians, and so on, they do not have all the same knowledge. So how you make the knowledge more accessible, better for everyone who works with end consumers, because so they can get a much better output.
And give them more satisfaction.
And they have more trust in themselves. They learn something.
Yeah, like compare a doctor that's an AI-enabled platform yourself, or like yours, versus a doctor that's not. It's kind of like it's a little bit unfair comparison.
And even a clinic or a coach or a team which has coaches, not every clinician in a clinic has the same knowledge.
It's true. Yeah.
What you're doing, you're helping them reduce their stress at their work. And by that, you're actually helping them live longer, because stress, we know it's something that hurts your health. So it's actually incredible. And we see, by the way, something similar. We see also that AI helps us make the chefs more efficient, reduce the stress from them, and help them, with their grocery shopping, where you generate everything is automatic, like the meal selected and then sent to them, and then the shopping list and the order of like cooking, all of that is like, it's much more efficient than them doing it by themselves. And also on the consumer side, like just finding and fitting the right diets to what the right recipes and meals to their diets. So there's a lot of innovation and efficiency and personalization across the board everywhere. It's I see the same thing like you. It reduces burnout.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah,
and gives so much back.
Yeah.
yes,
Exactly.
yeah, it gives people back the time and the mindset to just live better.
Taking us out of the medical space just real quickly, I can tell you are both wonderful leaders of a tribe, and the tribe it comes together because of this common North Star and shared values. So I just want to honor you both for being great leaders in technology and building community and having fun. So thank you.
Thank you. And if you can see it in us, then you have it too, because we're a reflection. So you're part of the tribe.
Okay, I'll take it. So why don't we do a quick shout out, maybe a website, or maybe how folks can get in touch and learn more about what you're both building.
Oh, yeah, sure. So you guys can reach out to us on www.myfoodom.com. We're also on Instagram at myfoodom. Feel free to reach out, and happy to connect with everyone.
Perfect.
For me, it would be great. First, I want to thank you for this amazing opportunity. And you are also an amazing leader and very impactful all the time. So much amazing speakers. What you have all the
running
time.
you in Vegas a month ago.
Perfect. Perfect. I love it. Back together. So you reach me on LinkedIn, Alexander Meyer. I have on LinkedIn /Impact Viking.
That's like the coolest branding.
So you reach me because so we can tell you more what we are doing, which network do we have, and which AIs do we have, and how we can support others also, startups, manufacturers to get into the health and wellness space, which we experience is such an amazing, beautiful space with lovely people.
And shout out to Heather at Stanford for saving your life too. Yeah.
Thank you to my wife to saving my ass.
Cool. Great. Well, thank you both. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
On the show. Okay. Cheers, you guys. Thank you. Currently on
Okay.
mute.
I don't see you. She's a charming founder. She's not allowed to be camera shy. So these are brief. They're fun. In fact,
How brief is this?
maybe 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then so we'll have you share between the two of these.
All right. Well,
Okay.
you can talk first.
Okay, great.
We'll bring it up to there you go. That's about right.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it. Welcome to a special edition of Silicon Zombies. So excited to have John Bum here from True Binding and Kathleen from WoundScan, a couple great local founders and building really cool stuff in the med tech space. So we're up here at the SF HealthTech Summit, sponsored by AIify. So shout out to Steve Ekman. And we want to, let's go ahead and light the candle here. So Kathleen, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, and you're presenting some really pretty brilliant stuff.
Thank you.
And you've got a unique background being an RN. So
Yes.
maybe help us understand what was the unlock that you realized for like, hey, this market needs to be addressed.
It probably would be the my job right now. I have to see over 100 patients a week. And there's a shocking stat that I learned recently, and that there's only about 10,000 wound care specialists in all of the US.
Wow.
And so the stat is one wound care specialist per 1,000 in patients with wounds. And I feel that in my day-to-day work because I can only see about a handful of these patients, and we are outnumbered. And so I developed WoundScan to help me drop my process from 1 hour per patient to 5 to 10 minutes.
Wow. So it's maybe not just an efficiency thing, but perhaps also there's a burnout element too.
Total burnout.
Yeah.
For all nurses across the board too, not just wound care specialists. Yeah.
And speaking of nurses, there's many that are implementing TB006, which is has some pretty remarkable impacts in the dementia and Alzheimer's space. So John, maybe you could share us a little bit about that.
Well, TB006 is an investigational drug. It's a humanized monoclonal antibody that in clinical trials has demonstrated the potential to reverse dementias, not only Alzheimer's, but all dementias. In fact, my wife is treating patients in her clinic in Los Gatos, and she's even treated, because you have to have a mild dementia to at least get the drug. But she's treated patients even with Parkinson's. So they started off with a little mild dementia, but also had Parkinson's. And they present with a very shallow voice, it's gravelly, extremity tremors, or shuffling coming in the door, usually needing the cane. She administers the IV, it's an hour-long IV, and suddenly in about halfway through the IV, their voice normalizes and the tremors go away.
Oh.
And then at the end of the infusion, they don't need observation, and they're typically walking out carrying their walking stick or cane.
Wow.
It's really, it's amazing to see what she's able to do in the clinic with True Binding's medication. And thankfully, the FDA allowed this drug to be available in an access program for patients who meet the criteria of the protocol they have with it. So I would recommend patients that have interest to seek out this drug.
And True Binding has been granted compassionate care. Can you help us understand a little bit about what that means?
Well, compassionate care, or otherwise known as expanded use program, allows, doctors can apply for it on a one-on-one basis, and then they have another program called intermediate. intermediate allows the true binding to be able to basically authorize physicians to treat as many patients as they like. So they can authorize as many patients or doctors as they want, who in turn can treat as many patients as they want with an investigational drug. Very cool program that not a lot of people are aware of. So these programs are available. The FDA says it is available. Well, yeah, they're a little selective. True Binding was one of a couple hundred companies that was authorized in 2023, but it was the only company allowed in 2023 for this program. So very fortunate to be able to do this.
And no meaningful side effects, which is that's very compelling.
It's a wonderful drug from the aspect it doesn't have side effects and it doesn't interact with other medications, so there's no contraindications. So it's very specific in its target. But you've got a cool system for your wound healing. I'd like to learn more about that.
Yeah, help us understand some of the science and technology behind wound scans.
Sure. First of all, I wanted to mention when we were talking earlier, I think the protein that you're talking about is this can be also helpful with chronic wounds because dementia and Alzheimer's, it's like a chronic issue that's like lacking of this protein. And so I'm curious if in the future we can, this could be like not an off-label, but if this product or this drug can also help with chronic wounds. Yeah.
I believe it can, but we're going to have to get it approved, or we'll have to have another clinical trial for that. But once it's approved, it could be used off-label for many, many indications because the target is involved with wound healing specifically. And so when it upregulates, that's when it causes a lot of problems.
Amazing. Thank you for what you do.
Yeah, giving people their lives back. It's pretty impactful stuff.
Exactly.
Speaking of impactful, help us understand a little bit of the science and maybe the aha moment that you had, Kathleen.
For wound scan, so my process again takes about 45 minutes to 60 minutes. And with now the growing development of AI and computer vision, we're able to drop that down to about 10 minutes using this control sticker. I don't know if you can see, but what I have to do is when I'm with my patients, I have to measure the wounds using like a paper measuring tape and Q-tips. And, there's so much room for human error. And I work, because there's only one specialist in my hospital, I work a lot with the licensed nurses, but, everyone's tired. At the end of the day, they just want to get the documentation done. And nothing is like consistent. It's not uniformed. All the photos, sometimes it's like dark in color and you can't see the wound bed visibly. So the aha moment came to me when, I started seeing all the developments with health tech. And I think I was like, I had enough. I want this process to be faster because not only does it help me as a nurse, but first and foremost, it helps patients. They're no longer, with this chronic wound because chronic wounds are painful and often enough they're large and they're complex. It's not just caused by one thing. It's caused by, multi-system failure, really.
And they can come out of nowhere. Like with diabetes.
Exactly. Diabetes is a huge one. Also, like any kind of allergies, autoimmune systems, your vascular system, metabolic, everything, you name it. It's so complex that it's not just solved by one answer. Yeah.
Speaking of the vascular dimension, I understand that there's also that's part of how some dementias occur as well. John, is there one dementia? Are there different flavors? How do they present? How does that work?
Dementias are multifactorial, so that's why we have so many different types. So vascular dementia is caused by fibrosis, basically hardening of the arteries. And
that comes from like too many potato chips or?
Well, it comes from a misbehaving macrophage. Macrophage.
That sounds a lot better, actually.
macrophages are designed to remove fibrosis and that type of thing. Or when they're misbehaving, they're actually creating fibrosis. And so then you get the vascular dementia.
Is that when they're over-regulating, or?
Well, it's when they're being attacked by something like our target, galactin-3. It causes them to basically do just the opposite of what their job is supposed to be doing.
I see.
Okay, so, but it also affects like the aerocytes in the brain. Those are creating cytokine storms in the brain. And then you have the microglia, which is supposed to be cleaning up, helping to clean up the brain. And they're misbehaving, and they're actually going into a feedback loop, producing more galactin-3, causing more problems. And so what you end up with is something inflammatory in the brain on the upstream, and it's causing the cells to create the beta amyloids, and then downstream galactin form the protein that is actually binding the amyloids.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. So neutralizing galactin-3 goes a long way towards normalizing, revitalizing the immune system in the brain. And because TB006 is an IV, galactin-3 is systemic also. So it's going to help other areas and other chronic issues. Like wounds. Wounds can be very much involved with the immune system, etc. Yes. So, and then inflammation is very much involved.
Okay.
I used to be an IV nurse.
Tell us about that experience.
So I used to be an IV nurse. So I love that it's intravenous. I used to work with IVIG, and they're not chemotherapy agents, but they're biologics. So it's probably similar to what you have. Yeah.
So Kathleen, when we think about the efficiency perspective, going from an hour plus to 10 minutes,
Yes.
there's obvious applications and the positive impact on the bottom line.
Yes.
But how else are you seeing there's positive utility
Yeah.
in implementing your technology, your platform to practicing physicians?
Totally. Not only does it save time and utility, but it saves a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because for chronic wounds, what's the stat? It's like $40,000 to like $70,000 per patient when there's like a new diagnosis for a chronic wound, if taken in the hospital setting, and that's so detrimental for any kind of healthcare system, whether it's in the acute hospital setting or a small home health company. And nurses are overworked. There's a lack of nursing staff. I'm gonna say it again. There's only about 10,000 specialists. And a growing number of wounds in like the post-acute setting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's okay, I want to grab your banner real quick.
Sure.
Because there's some great information up here, specifically around the prevalence. So it's becoming a larger issue as well.
It is. I mean, I'm sure everyone has felt some in a degree the effects of our healthcare system failing us.
Yeah.
And, the acute setting, emergency rooms can't take everyone. So all the patients are moving into, post-acute, into home health. And they're even, there's like a growing number in like telehealth companies. So yeah, it's going to be more and more prevalent because of the comorbidities. When it comes to wound healing.
And so it sounds like there's going to be great impact for the doctors, but also for the patients.
Mm-hmm.
True Binding is doing the same and giving folks their life back.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have the zombie community be valuable to both of you. Maybe is there a website or what's a good way for folks to with you, Kathleen?
Sure, great. So now we have woundscan.ai, and we also have our MVP live. It's found on wound.app, And you can also find me on LinkedIn. You can search Kathleen Rose Reyes, RN, and CWOCN.
Okay. Look to, into TB06. Go to the True Binding website, truebinding.com, TRUEBINDING, and they have a expanded access program page and tab, and within it there's also the ability to locate a treating physician. We're up to about 250 physicians nationwide that are enrolled in the expanded access program.
And excellent. And if you're a venture capitalist looking to bet on the next winning horse, you might want to take a look at these guys too. So we'll be sure to include all the show notes in the information below. And in the meantime, thank you both, and hope you have a wonderful rest of the summit here.
Thank you, Nick.
Cool. All right. Great. Thank you much. Good deal. Thanks, Sean. Okay. Ready? 3, 2. Welcome to another edition of Silicon Zombies, where we bring you the best brains from the Bay to beyond. Super excited to be here at AIFI's HealthTech Summit in San Francisco, California. We've got Magic, we've got John, and we're going to be exploring a little bit about demystifying emerging technology. Gentlemen, thank you both for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Cool. So, John, kick us off here. It sounds like you're building some pretty amazing stuff in the space, and you've got some great traction. Help us understand what's the problem you're solving, and how is it different?
Yeah, absolutely. So just a little bit about my background. I've been working in drug development for the last 13 years, primarily in the CMC space and manufacturing, engineering, and development. Moved to the Bay 8 years ago to really get more into the startup side of that after working for some of the big companies like Genentech and Thermo Fisher, and really got to see the existential threat that the inefficiencies in the system currently cause, specifically from a data management and verification standpoint. The incumbent solutions are difficult to manage. They don't have good searchability. They're difficult to use and take a lot of training, and people still get blocked all the time. And that creates a lot of data siloing and a slow velocity of work that is now accepted. The glacial pace is just how it is in the industry.
When you say the existential threat, do you mean to the bottom line for businesses or for the end consumer?
Here's the thing. With medical device and pharmaceutical companies, the problem is you're pre-revenue for 10 to 15 years as that company, right? So how do you continue to get traction? How do you continue to get investors? It's all by just meeting your timelines and having good results along those drug development timelines. Because yes, once you get to commercial launch, you can be making billions of dollars a year in revenue. But until then, the only way to build their confidence is to meet those deadlines. So if you don't meet the deadline, you have nothing to fall back on, like revenue, right? And so having a very slow system that's trying to make you meet those deadlines means that everyone's working long hours, they're prone to make mistakes, and we're trying to ease that burden, help organizations scale more effectively by using AI to automate a lot of these tasks related to data generation and management. We don't really touch what's going on in the wet lab, but we definitely don't want the bottleneck to be at the desk. That's for sure.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. Magic, please, welcome.
Thank you. Magic Madrigal. So I've been in the software industry for about 16 years. I've been leading large engineering teams for the last 10. Two notable companies, Zendesk and Reddit. Saw Reddit through IPO and have always had a strong focus in compliance. So making sure that we're building an enterprise system that's going to be secure, that was something that Zendesk wanted to do. And so taking a lot of those best practices into this product, and then also finding how we can be using security compliance to enable using AI to ensure that these customers are following that regulation and compliance.
Do you think that there's a core element of national security that goes into the compliance factor, or is it kind of in a different trajectory, or help us understand?
National security, I think it's, we are working with the FDA, right? So the FDA has certain regulations in terms of Title 21 to making sure that these drugs are coming out safely and securely. We are theorizing that we could be having an AI agent team that would be looking over these companies' pharmaceutical processes and ensuring that they're following those regulatory processes, giving them insights when they're not, being able to flag those early and quickly so that they're not wasting money on batches, and being able to bring those to the executives so that they can be making the right decisions.
Interesting. When I think of drug development, they say that 90% of failures happen in the translation phase, and maybe that could be a way to either provide the right kind of foundational data or to streamline a lot of the processes to get to the goal faster, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that is where a lot of this is happening. Is right now, direct labor generally contributes to less than 10% of these pharmaceutical companies' budget. So that's the people doing work in the wet lab.
Where does the budget go to otherwise?
Yeah, so a lot of that is in the managerial overhead, in data verification, in these supply chain management, all of that, right? So a very small portion is like, I'm paying someone to do a physical task, right? So that leaves a huge opportunity to not only like lower the overhead during the development pipeline, but to take it a step further and shorten that development pipeline by, we think, at least 6 months, potentially up to multiple years, depending on the adoption of not just pharmaceutical companies, but if we're able to adopt the software with the entire ecosystem, right? The CDMOs, the CROs, and the regulators themselves, and start interacting with data through this filter of AI that's able to categorize it and bring it up and do analysis on it in real time.
Thank you for sharing that. When I hear that, it's almost like when you can get a team all aligned on a North Star and they're working within a framework and expected workflows, you're just going to be so much more efficient. It sounds like you're taking that same philosophy, the same ideology, and applying it to drug development.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's 100% true. And we're also going to be enabling, these cross-functional stakeholders to understand what each other is doing better, right? This is such a highly technical industry with a very high educational bar to get in each individual domain. So, to an outsider, it might all sound like science, but what someone at process development versus clinical development does is very difficult, and they might not understand how what each other is doing is relating to each other. But when you train an AI model, it understands the regulatory, the legal framework, the clinical history, and the chemistry equally well, and that creates a lot of opportunities for better cross-functional collaboration, which is a huge bottleneck right now.
Double click on that. Give us an example.
Yeah, it's like for any project, you're going to have stakeholders from at least 5, 6 different groups trying to coordinate and understand what each other is doing on these shared goals and projects, right? Which is getting a drug to market. Add layers of complexity when you're hiring outside help, right?
Which is siloed, but not from a data perspective.
Yeah, like from an organizational perspective, exactly. Something like a contract drug manufacturing organization, a clinical research organization. These are now, you're farming work out. And so not only is your own data fragmented within your company, but now it's also doubly fragmented within another company. Now multiply that 12 times across all the different
external. Sounds like a liability almost.
It absolutely is, and we're trying to reduce that by getting it all into a central repository where they can all align on these high-level goals. Like, when are we trying to finish these clinical trials? What does the supply chain look like? What is the quality and regulatory framework that each of these projects is falling under? And are we meeting those at every step along the way?
Magic, I see you nodding in agreement. Very much. What are your thoughts here?
I think John really spoke for both of us here. Is that we can be utilizing this platform to not only be aggregating this data, but giving the ability to see visibility across all of them. Imagine if you're one of these large organizations and you have 3 or 4 different drug projects. Normally, you're having to tap into each one, siloed, and understand that team. But we're going to be able to give that higher level visibility where you'll be able to see across your entire organization. And I think that is something that hasn't happened in the past, and we really are excited to be able to give that so that. Give the executives that visibility.
I wonder if there's been some kind of like leap in research or development for one drug that maybe could be leveraged for like a brother or sister drug within an organization that's kind of moving things along more efficiently as well.
That's a good question. I think that's really John's expertise. So I will pass the mic over to him because he is more of
yeah. So that's absolutely on the roadmap, and we're seeing some early results there, right? I think that there's a big demand that we're seeing from our early stage customers around this idea of clinical intelligence, right? When you're designing a clinical trial, you have to choose the endpoints and things that you're measuring. And so these people want to look at similar indications or similar drug classes and the kind of tests and endpoints and outcomes that they had. And that will inform what they try to pursue in their program.
And for recommendations for the population at large too. Like if you have A, B, C symptoms, perhaps there could be a something else that they're struggling with that wasn't open or visible prior.
Exactly. So a lot goes into those designs, right? You're trying to look at what demographics you might want to be including in the trial. You're trying to look at, what diseases and possible comorbidities might be involved with the people that you're treating in this controlled trial,
and
right?
You're avoiding all sorts of misdiagnosis as well.
Yeah, 100%. And so I think that as we continue to refine that capacity, because we've already seen that AI has these large public databases already baked into the model. And if we are able to continue to fine tune that, then we can get some really novel insights in terms of how to design these clinical trials, and not just take the plan that they already have that was done by manual research, but really automate that entire research so they are only being decision makers at the end of this thing. Like, do we agree that these are good endpoints? Do we agree that these are the right schedule of assessments to be doing along the way? And if so, then let's move forward with that. Let's submit to the FDA, the EMA, whoever we're doing the trial with.
Perfect. Magic, I love how you said he's more of the why, you're more of the how. If we think of these frontier models, they've gone through different leaps in understanding, right? First there was pre-training, then there was inference time compute, and now there's reasoning at the tip of the spear. What are you saying? What's around the corner?
Oh, what is around the corner? So reasoning has definitely been a huge one, right? But we've already knew that chain of thought was getting us part of the way there. Excuse me. And chain of thought was something that we've already been incorporating in our system.
Is this like a trace of logic, or what do you mean by that exactly?
So a train of thought is where you're having a trace of logic within one prompt. But then you start to think about how can we be creating a team of agents that all have maybe a set purpose. Think of them as a compliance team. One agent is fully focused on scanning deviations and making sure that those deviations are proper. You're not seeing these bad records fall into any of those deviations. You have a compliance director that can tap into any of these other agents when it sees something, and they have specific knowledge within the system, and they have specific training. They have specific reasoning, a reasoning pattern that has been put together. Before it was chain of thought. Now reasoning is just how are we producing an AI prompt that can help figure out what that chain of thought should be, and then move forward. So now that we're just seeing an automation of a pattern that was already in existence, I think that what's going to be really interesting is how are we going to improve the data ingestion, and how are we going to take all this data, whether that's documentations for the manufacturing side, images, and some of that wet lab, your LIMS systems, your laboratory notebooks, bringing that data in, and then having AI look over this information, and then be able to say, okay, I want to improve this. Let's figure out a chain of thought reasoning to do that. So I think it's going to be more of a AI scan. Once we have the data, how can you start to say, we're building these agents that have very specific roles in our organization as like an AI team, and then having them look over your corpus and say, these are the improvements that you can be making in your process.
Wow. It's almost like conceptual biomimicry to some degree.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for being on the show. We always like to be valuable. Let us know how the zombie audience can be valuable to what you guys are. Maybe you want to share a website or how to get in touch. That'd be great.
Yeah, you can find us on Sinai.ai. That is our website. You can book a demo and take a look at our product. We're also on Twitter or X and Instagram.
That's SANAI.ai.
SANAI.ai.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, to anyone, to anyone struggling out there who's not satisfied with the incumbent systems for your data management, as we've made public announcements, we've had a huge influx of people saying that this is a space ripe for disruption. And if you want to be on the forefront of that, you're interested in how AI can help your organization, we're happy to have a chat with you and consult, see if it's right for your current problem and stage.
And what would you say was like the biggest pain that you're able, when you said unhappy with current data management systems, what does that look like practically?
Yeah, I think that would be something like a high error rate, right? Sometimes when people are trying to transform data from one like primary source into some kind of a report or a plan and implementation, there's room for human error. It's one of the biggest costs in the industry. So if your organization has problems with that, this is a way to help with that.
Humans don't make mistakes, no?
Oh, well,
sometimes.
Surprisingly, it seems like they're making it more than the computers. I think they have something called personalities and other priorities, unlike a computer. But but we obviously still very valuable. And then, is if you're having problems with scaling and just the volume of work, I know a lot of you out there are probably working late nights just like us and people on our advisory board trying to get these life-saving therapeutics out faster. If you want to see how that velocity of work can be faster, we've already had people perform full FDA audits on clients in 50% of the time that it would have taken fully manually. And that's just one of our many use cases, but we're generally seeing between a 30 to 50% reduction in the amount of time that these tests take for new users that aren't experts in prompting yet. And we expect those numbers to continue to go up over time as they become better prompt engineers.
John, Matt, you guys are both doing really big things. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the summit here. Cheers, guys.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cheers.
Is the nice thing is it tends to get like a good momentum.
Yeah.
Like we've been doing this for 4 years now.
Yeah.
And because of that, we've got like cool introductions, and then I'll have like a great conversation
We're going live in 3, 2.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Silicon Zombies, where we bring you the best brains from the Bay to Beyond. We've got Devinder here, and we're up in San Francisco at the HealthTech Summit. That's right. So, Devinder, thanks for coming on the show. Great to see you. Yep. So, I feel like there's a million different directions we could go, but given your expertise, maybe let's just start off with fears around artificial intelligence. Is it warranted? Should we be thinking it's a platform to lift us up? Maybe a little bit of both. Help us understand.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's address the fear component first, right? There's so many people, especially in the software space, where I consult, I build, I educate. Folks are trying to figure out, like, am I going to be out of a job in 6 months? And I think the answer is probably not. That's the short version. And the reason I feel that way and the reason I teach the things that I do is because there's 2 things we need to do. We need to upskill a lot of folks. It's always been the case in software engineering, right? No one
throughout human history.
Yeah. No one's been punching cards anymore. No one's still sitting on like a mainframe. Well, almost no one.
Yeah.
Right. and so we're upskilling. We had the web. We had the cloud. Now we're in AI. And how do we adjust our learnings? Like, how do we learn the new tools? How do we get around taking this huge influx of information? Because we're going to prune a lot of this stuff, right?
Yeah,
There's going to have 1 million technologies today, 100 later, and then 10 that are really, really good. How do we navigate this space as that happens? That's sort of like a core part of what I do.
Beautifully put.
Yeah.
How is this different from, say, like when the internet came out, or like when certain folks didn't want to use email? Like, obviously, they're going to get left in the dust, but it almost feels like the rate of technological innovation is on a parabolic curve that's faster than any time throughout human history.
Yeah, and there's a very good reason it feels that way, right? It's because 3.5 billion people have devices that they can use on like that. But that never happened when the emails first came out. When people were signing on to their first email, like AOL account or whatever, you had very few people getting exposed to something. Now you get exposed nearly the whole world to a new technology at the same time. Just like as you see like new products launching up in the air, they're getting faster and faster to hit 1 million users. Why is that? Because everyone has access. And that's why AI is sort of built on the shoulder of these giants, and it's got access to nearly everybody.
It's fascinating that you say that, because it's like, if we look at the iPhone, I want to say that took 4 years to get to 100 million users.
Yeah.
ChatGPT did it in like less than a year.
Yeah.
Granted, slightly different. It's easier to sign up for a piece of software than it is to go buy a $1,000 device.
Yeah.
But the point is, that things seem to be escalating quickly.
Yeah, and it's also not $1,000, right? ChatGPT is free.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The hump to get into the product itself is like a lot.
Sure, you could pay $200 for a pro membership if you're a specialist.
Are you using this the pro?
I'm using so many of these tools. I have like a monthly budget for ad.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, certainly the pro tool.
And how are you finding like Anthropic or some of these other models that seem to be? In fact, I think Anthropic just raised another $8 billion, if I'm not mistaken. How are those comparing to the early winners in the space, like OpenAI?
I think Anthropic is up there. If you do coding, if you're into like these Cursor / Windsurf type of technologies for your new IDEs, that cloud is really performing well. If you do like general queries and maybe like some structured things around like setting up programs, OpenAI does a fantastic job. A lot of people nowadays are also using Llama, right? I can run a Llama 70 billion model quantized on my laptop now.
Wow.
That's crazy. And I can do almost most of the things that at least ChatGPT 3.5 was able to do.
Yeah.
So it's just going to keep going. I think Anthropic has got a great grasp. I think OpenAI has a great grasp. And the fact that they're kind of competing in some spaces is actually nice for us, because we're going to see those prices drop and we're going to see a bunch of these great things happen for the consumer.
The consumer wins, which is kind of like the whole point of innovation.
Yeah.
Right. Let me throw you a curveball. We've got business practices like Apple that needs to be kind of like really pretty much polished and perfect before it goes out. And then you've got models like Meta that are going to release a little bit earlier, but maybe it's not going to be perfect, but they're going to learn from the users and bake that into the next iteration. So I'd love your commentary on that. And also, what do you think of the open versus closed models generally?
I think there's a lot to that question, but polish is great. especially in an experience. If there's something that's going to make a consumer leave an Apple product, it might be a lack of polish because they've built that brand on there. And Facebook has always been the same type of brand. They're like, break fast, right? Like move quickly, break fast.
Sure.
These two companies have very different philosophies on how they operate, and they've almost built these user expectations that that's what you're going to go out of.
They know what to expect.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think it makes sense that these two companies are doing the things that the way they're doing. In fact, I almost wish there was more polish to the Apple, the 18.1 sort of like Apple Intelligence release, because it still has some things to work out. It's a really difficult problem. Nothing on Apple because just evaluating all that stuff is really, really hard. But that's my expectation from Apple because I expect polished products.
Right. That's a good point. And what about this dynamic for the closed models versus the open? I mean, it almost seems like Zuckerberg just with the scorched earth policy, like, oh yeah, well we're going to make it all free, right? How's that dynamic going to play out for the consumer?
I think for researchers, it's fantastic. I think for people who are not using it for business, it's great because it's open but not quite open. Once you move to truly open software means anyone can use it for anything as long as they kind of credit you. There's different licenses that provide you different layers.
And these all live on like Hugging Face Hugging Face?
You mean the models?
Yeah. Isn't this kind of like the ecosystem where you can get access to like models and data?
The open models? Yeah. No, I totally get where you're coming from. So like there's a lot of, to put it in succinctly, the open source version of models, I'm super excited about because they're going to keep, like you said, the other people moving and like their fear kind of on the fire.
And maybe accountability to some degree.
For sure. But we also have to be aware of what's truly open. Right?
Yeah.
There's the meta open, it's kind of open, but you have to learn about licensing to figure that out.
Okay.
Right? And then the OpenAI, obviously, OpenAI is closed. There's lots of value in that, but it's still it's still something that leaves people wanting. How they manage the marketing around that and how they sell that product, it's kind of up to them. And they've been doing a great job so far.
Yeah, if I think of a parallel, like back to Apple, where they want to control the entire experience.
Yeah.
But that comes with benefits around like security, not just for data privacy, but how the customer is actually getting taken care of, like from start to finish.
Yeah, and we trust Apple to do that, right? Because OpenAI has been saying the same thing, that if you do the paid version, we're going to give you private data. I am kind of looking forward to both Anthropic and OpenAI and all these companies to put out more information and marketing on how your data is protected. And obviously with Apple, that's sort of a win that they get out of the box because of the polish and like the things they've been doing in the past. Apple Store still is kind of, in my opinion, superior to the Android Store because it feels safer to use.
Yeah.
It's just how it is.
If you're Tim Cook, maybe you're shaking in your boots a little bit. Like there's a lot of expectations to see what's going to happen with Apple Intelligence, and it's really just not really wowing anybody.
I hear you, and I think Tim Cook of the world should really see it as an opportunity because they have market share. They have all the things that they need to do get right. People will even forgive them for an iteration or two, but if they don't get up to speed by like Apple 17, Apple 18, that's going to be problematic. It's going to give other people an opportunity to sort of get a bite out of their market.
Yeah. It's almost like when a tree falls in the forest and breaks down, it's going to feed the seedlings of new trees. With Steve Jobs, he said death is the best invention because it makes way for the new.
Yeah, and I'm kind of hoping that it doesn't go that way because I'm good enough. Yeah, that's how
I feel you. My mom worked there for 30 years. If the products like not Apple in, they would get chucked out the window.
On my iTunes.
What's on your iTunes list? What kind of cool music are you listening to recently?
So much. I mean, my list is getting a little bit older, but I'm sort of rediscovering some like cool Indian music.
Okay.
A lot of what's happening lately is I'll check something out on YouTube and I'll love it, or like TikTok even.
Just Shazam it.
And I'll move on to iTunes to have it forever.
Mm-hmm.
Video game music.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very good. So how can the zombie community help you, or maybe what if you wanted to drop a website or something to plug?
Yeah, my name is Vinder. From I guess my website is going to be sodhirao.com. It's still a work in progress.
Can you spell that for us?
SODHIRAO.com. Still a work in progress. But you can always find me as one of the teachers at AI Camp. I volunteer there. It's a community of $400. And frankly, call me if you want more education around the AI. Just reach out to me on LinkedIn. Or any other place that you can find me. I'm starting to learn about X a little bit more.
Yeah, you and me both. While we have you here, being a teacher in the space, what are we going to see in the next 6 to 12 months? Maybe the proliferation of agents, or what's around the corner?
Yeah, I think agents obviously are like the big buzzword. But people are going to begin to understand what that means. People are going to be a lot more involved in, if you're in the RAG space, a lot more different types of re-ranking components that make their results even better. They're going to understand how much closer you are to search. And finally,
can you break that down for retrieval automated generation? Is that right?
I think that's right.
Yeah. Can you explain what that looks like practically?
Yeah. So you ask ChatGPT something, but you have your own company or your own things that you care about that you have some documentation on, but the rest of the world doesn't know about, right? You can augment whatever your ChatGPT or your Llama model knows by giving it some information. And then you can further augment it by teaching it how to best utilize that information and deal with your type of data.
Got it. Wonderful. Yeah. Well, really enjoyed having you on the show. Thank you so much, and hope you enjoy the rest of the conference here.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. And I'm a speaker, so come watch at 4:30ish.
All right, swing by.
Yeah. That
Ready? 3, 2.
Welcome everybody to Silicon Zombies, where we bring you the best brains from the Bay to beyond. We're up here in San Francisco. We're having a great time at the Biotech Symposium by AIFI. So shout out to Steve Eckman. We've got Sunny, and we've got Hall, two fantastic entrepreneurs, and excited to be chatting a little bit about the future of medicine and technology and all sorts of good stuff. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Nick. Like the moment I made eye contact, the whole show actually, the moment I got in this whole event, this is the first day I came in. I must say, this has opened up so many verticals to me in terms of understanding of what is happening within this industry, specifically in health tech, actually. By the way, a quick introduction of myself. I'm Sunny. I'm in the technology space, providing solutions. Maybe I'll try to help demystify a bit of AI during this conversation here.
Yeah.
I'll pass it on to our next speaker. Yeah, there's an AI for that. It's a tagline that has been used all around. So yeah, there's AI for that.
That's right.
Hi, my name is Hall. I came from New York for JPM and saw this event. Excited to be here. I'm a co-founder of Cogensis, and what we do is we get AI to elicit conversations from the elderly, and we use our data analytics to analyze the verbiage to get mental health insights. The intent is to be proactive about cognitive decline and associated dementia and Alzheimer's. And we just believe that we want to help be proactive as America gets older and aging is more prevalent.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, please go ahead.
I can add actually.
Yeah. Go ahead.
With what you just said, like there has been a wearable today that has been demoed, which actually is also helping keep the cognitive aspect. Is it something related to that as well?
So we're focused on we're focused on having it available on a tablet, a mobile phone, or a desktop computer. For us, we think about accessibility and ease. Whenever you have hardware, I mean, hardware has lots of great things. I'm wearing a watch and all that, but that adds complexity to the supply chain. And we're B2B. We want to sell to elder care and later down the line, healthcare consortium, so forth. But by using devices people already has, that reduces complexity, and want to get it to the caretakers and then the end users being the elders.
Hall, you're well positioned. There's over 20,000 people every day that turn 60. By 2030, over 35% of the United States is going to be over 60. So the market's growing. What was the aha moment that you and your co-founder had when you realized, hey, this is a problem that needs to be addressed?
So me personally, I used to work at Audible, and Audible has a large audience that is on the older side of things. And I didn't know that going in, but being there, like, oh, wow. Now, there is this market that I'm 38 now, that I don't think of a day-to-day basis. And then, after 3 years there, the founder, CEO, Cogensis, Matt, I used to work with him at Center Strategy. He called me, he's like, hey, want to help out with the elderly in a healthcare context? Like, sure. Love to, and joined it. And then I realized, wow, the audience is big, and it's not just media entertainment, but there's also healthcare. Okay. And that was the connection. And pretty much day one, so I joined the startup, and I'm just riding that wave.
It feels good to have purpose, to have passion, and also be driving profits as well. How could you say your team's solution is different from what's already existing in the market now?
So we don't have any direct competitors in the sense that we're focused on elder care, we're focused on the elderly. We're focused on voice, and we're focused on just going to existing devices. So there are tangential solutions that maybe think about voice from a general population perspective, but our big thing is about being focused on a solution towards simplicity of the supply chain, so to speak.
I'm going to ask both you guys this question, so be ready for this one. What is the biggest pain point that you're solving?
I think for all things of healthcare, it's about thinking where the payers are. And as you can imagine, a lot of healthcare is highly regulated. So we're constantly aware of what's the way to go forward to access the payers, and so sequentially in terms of our business go-to-market strategy. And I don't think of a pain point. I used to be an Army officer. A lot of things are painful. This is just one business challenge, one day at a time.
Taking mud off the racetrack. Beautifully put. And what about yourself, Sonny? What kind of cool stuff are you working on?
Oh, right now, I'm into building AI agentic systems for different industries, actually.
Wow.
I would
It's a hot topic.
It is. It has become, and I think it's one of the biggest innovations that happened very lately. Like 20 years ago, we had the HTTP protocol that was released, right? And which opened up an entire industry. Like if you imagine the HTTP protocol itself, the whole SaaS industry was born because of that one protocol. A communication channel has been opened up.
Yeah.
Which made now an application. Even today, what we are talking live, there's a live feed that's going on. There's an interface going on.
Yeah.
That's the actual solution that came out back in the 2000s.
It's a very meta analysis. I dig it.
It's in the 2000s, and today I think we're seeing the same transition moment.
Yeah.
Where we now see this amazing technology. If you were to imagine the whole transcribe of this whole conversation we're having, if we want to actually summarize it, imagine before an LLM has arrived. In 2012, the state of natural language processing, how many loops an engineer have to actually write for designing such a system which could actually interpret what the context is, what the actual, there is a correlation and there's a causation. There are two different things.
I'll take it one step further.
Yeah.
In the platform or in Silicon Valley, we use this tool called Munch, M-U-N-C-H. So you feed it long form content like a YouTube clip, and it'll slice and dice the best gems and push it out on your social media. There'd be no way to not even just transcribe, but like understand contextually, like what are the best moments to be able to encapsulate. So we are really truly in uncharted territory.
And imagine a customer service application today. Like anytime you get you have to make a request. We ideally talk to somebody. Okay. So imagine when you're in a customer service. Yeah, in customer service, let's say you have a shipment delay.
Yeah.
Or you want to cancel it. In previous times, you have to talk to your representative. They have to understand. They have to initiate a process. How long is the transition time before a customer actually gets, some action done towards their request?
Mm-hmm.
That piece now has been refined with this LLM. The experience is infinite. It's more engineers like myself are now really happy and to be at the time of this era where now anything is possible.
Yeah.
Like I just want everyone who is in technology or even not in technology, just listen to what is AI. I don't really think it's really something to be scared of. It's as simple as reading a newspaper in the morning, and then it becomes your daily routine, and then it becomes part of what it is. Like a mobile phone today, I don't know how many people doesn't have a mobile phone here in this day, right? I think it will become that, and I think no one should be scared of their job, etc. It's an amazing tool, people. It's like an amazing cat that has been introduced to us.
Ooh. It can be daunting. It can be overwhelming just because there's so much. But how I look at it is probably similar to you guys. It's just one foot in front of the other. Just like every day learning a little bit more. I had the chance to have lunch with the head of AI at Intel a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And she said that she goes, I sleep for a couple hours a night, and the rest of my day I'm learning about artificial intelligence. Maybe are you similar in learning about your target market and new kind of adjacent technologies?
Yeah, I think about AI, I think about customer segments, but the way I think about it is I think about solutions in terms of what's good for the customer. In our case, it's our target customers, elder care and medical practitioners down the road. But it's not about thinking about, hey, let's be AI first. It's about thinking for the XYZ issue, what's the solution? Is AI part of the solution? And for us, in terms of cognitive health and elder care, there's lots of opportunities for AI. It was just a nice fit.
Yeah.
We didn't go like, we must plug in AI somewhere. It's that looking at the entire range of things, AI fit really well. And also, I think there's a little bit of uncertainty from the general population, what is and isn't AI. And the way I talk about our product is that, yes, we are transparent, talk about we use AI, but use it, we talk about simplistic terms about what it does and its capabilities and how people benefit from it. And
where do you draw the line, though? I mean, I guess it probably depends on the vertical and the space, but how much do you think consumers deserve to know that AI is working in some level of the stack? I know that's kind of like a weird existential question, but
So for me, I think of consumers having needs, and our consumers are B2B, so they're more enterprise. But we talk to what their needs are, and if they ask us to go deeper, we'll say AI, and that's what gets us there. But it's about filling their needs, just like any other product throughout the beginning of time. And I think if you take a needs-focused approach, and then you show where AI brings value, that is generally better than like starting with AI. I think it's about ending with AI.
Please.
No, that's an interesting way to ask that question, to be very open-ended, like how much should the actual customer know about where in the whole architecture this AI piece actually fits? And you answered pretty well, actually. It depends totally on the solution. It's not really using AI is one thing, and finding the need to use AI is another thing. They're two different things, actually. Which mostly we see at times where there is no really necessity of using such a system, but most of us tend to use the wind, where the wind goes.
Exactly. Hall, I really appreciate how you put that, because it's laser focused. When you say like a need satisfaction kind of a space.
Well, I'm from New York. Nothing keeps me away from a quality pizza or my B2B enterprise customers.
Beautiful. Where in New York do you live, Hall?
I live in what's called Hell's Kitchen.
Oh, okay.
Right a little bit north of the Penn Station near Times Square.
Yeah.
Been there for 5 years, and I grew up out east, and that's just where it works for me.
Beautiful. And how's your experience at JPM been like so far this week?
I mean, I made a lot of friends, made a lot of connections, but most importantly, I think it's true for most people I talk to, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And I think this is just a learning experience. Like, it's kind of like, obviously people go to college and learn things in classes, but I think they also learn a lot after class, whether it's at the bar, just talking to people, your classmates, and that's what it's like. It's like the classwork is we're doing the research, but here's like meeting people at the bar, talking about the stuff, and just learning the different perspectives from people all across America and a lot of the world. I met French people, Germans, Koreans, and it was just a great learning experience. It's kind of like study abroad, except the world came to me.
Yeah.
Where I went to San Francisco to meet the world.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like the epicenter of the earth is either in New York or in Silicon Valley. In fact, the top two the venture capital allocators from the city perspective is New York and San Francisco.
Well, I like people talk about this city, that city. The way I see it is that it's not just one city. It's a lot of the ecosystem of cities as relevant.
Yeah.
And there's lots of places, like I have friends in Greenville, South Carolina, and that's becoming a tech space. It's about where the talent is. It's the supply chain, both digital and hardware. That's relevant, and you tap into what you need to, whether it's a non-AI or super AI solution. It's like, go to what you need to do.
One last question for you guys. Where is artificial intelligence heading? We there was the pre-training days, the inference time compute, the reasoning. What's going to be the next quantum leap in accelerated innovation?
The way I view it is that it's about data and energy. Is that data is going to improve, but I think it's going to be incremental. And as data incrementally improves, it will incrementally improve, just like our cell phones. I'm sure some people, I'm 38, I'm sure people remember the Razor. And now can think about the iPhone, 17, 16, I don't know where we're at. It's like how much of a jump that is that short time. AI will probably, the change will be greater, but it'll still be incremental. And then, of course, the infrastructure part of it is that you need power, fuel AI. I'll let the people know that space better than me talk about it, but that's something I'm aware of.
Thank you.
Yeah. Where are we headed in AI? What's going on? No, I'll try to keep it as, I think it's, the last 3 years have been really good, I would say. But the initial days of GPT 3.5 to today at 4.0 with its reasoning capability, a lot of enterprises, what I observe from speaking with my customers, are very interested to actually see how this would become a norm within the organization, like how Office or Outlook or Word it's a tool given to an employee to make their life much more easier so that they can improve on certain things, right? In a similar way, I think a lot of transition is taking place already as I'm already building with a few customers, actually.
Okay.
That's what I see happening. In the next 10 years, I think you will see a lot of transition into having a personal agent to every employee is going to be there. And you find it good or not, eventually you'll find it great.
Yeah,
That's what I can promise.
And I think it was just today or yesterday, OpenAI came out with this like GPT 4.0 with reminders or something like this. Are you familiar with this recent release? It was just in the last day or so. Yeah. Say again now?
I was too busy being at JPM, but I'm sure I'll read up on
all
the
over
flight back.
social. It's pretty interesting stuff. But guys, I really appreciate having you both on. How can the zombie community be helpful to what you're building? Maybe you want to plug a website or how folks can get in touch with you.
So maybe I'll give it a head start. By my talk, by now you might have understood I'm an engineer like yourself. If you're an engineer, I think engineer is not somebody who actually has a degree. I think engineering is something you have in your DNA. We are all builders. By even today, everything we do without applying some logic, we cannot get out of the house. So I think by nature we're all engineers.
Nicely put.
And what we do, I'm the founder of Carpenter AI. It's a technology consulting company. We have a few products within the AI division. I'll be happy to chat. We provide enterprises to actually understand and implement AI solutions in a way that is, when you're talking about enterprise, there are many things we have to keep in touch, like data security, all of those nuances that are there. We checkmark all of that. Try looking for us, and again, thank you, Nick.
What's a good website for folks?
Please check out Carpenter AI.
Can we spell that?
Yeah, CARPENTER. Like Carpenter, we are the carpenters in AI.
I like that.
You know the carpenter.
Of course.
So
Jesus. Yeah. You're the original carpenter.
Yeah, the original carpenter of who built this economy that we see today. And I think that's the exact boom we are doing, and which is why our team is essentially focused on actually identifying something which would help us all end of the day. That's
very well put.
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nick.
All right. Well, I'll be fully transparent. We're fundraising. We want to change the future of aging and the elderly and brain health. So, if you can help us, that'd be great. It's Cogensus, COGENSUS.com. You see our website, and you'll contact me, our founder. And any help with fundraising will be greatly appreciated, because hey, we're all getting old. We're all going to be old sooner or later, so we're all going to need our product.
It's a growing market and a great technology.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Great to have you guys. Enjoy the rest of the show, and we'll chat soon here.
All right, thank you.
Do you mind taking a picture on this one? Maybe with the.
Yeah, I'm going to put this on mute.